Good evening and thank you for joining us. Cases of influenza A are skyrocketing across the country, and area health officials are bracing for a similar situation in this region over the next few weeks.
The flu epidemic is hitting many other communities, with people suffering mild to severe flu-like symptoms. According to the most recent Flu Watch report by the Public Health Agency of Canada, there were 692 positive cases, with most outbreaks coming from people 65 and older. Doctors in Southern Ontario say far too many people are clogging up the ER instead of going to their doctors or walk-in clinics. Now here in Thunder Bay, the rise in flu-like symptoms hasn't hit us yet. The program director for the emergency department at the regional hospital, Lisa Beck, says they're expecting an increase in flu-like symptoms over the next few weeks.
We promote flu vaccines. We promote hand washing throughout the organization with our staff. We work with the public health unit to prepare documents and pamphlets and look at resources to provide to patients and families. So when they do arrive in the emergency department, generally speaking, patients will be seen and then discharged that same day.
Now, for those hoping to avoid the flu, Beck stresses the need for hand washing, saying the number one reason for spreading of the common flu is people not washing their hands and then being in contact with others.
With frigid temperatures now upon us, many Thunder Bay residents are bundling up and spending more time indoors. But for the city's homeless population, that option of staying indoors isn't always possible. As Adam Riley reports, agencies across the city are doing what they can to keep people warm and maybe even save lives.
Part of the reality of living in northwestern Ontario is we endure extremely cold weather for at least a few weeks every winter. One of the groups most affected by this is the homeless population. Several assistance agencies have ramped up their operations to help out those in need, such as the Salvation Army. Major Laurie Mitchell says the number of people they are providing shelter to has increased since Christmas, and they are doing everything they can to help.
We try to make sure with the clients that we have here, we encourage them. We make sure we have a stockpile of hats and scarves and gloves and that sort of thing and winter clothing. So we make sure if somebody comes in and their clothing are wet or whatever, we have changes of clothes.
Mitchell says they work alongside other agencies in Thunder Bay, such as the Urban Abbey and Shelter House, to help as many people as possible. Environment Canada has not put out an extreme cold warning, but if you look out onto Lake Superior, you can actually see how much warmer the water is than the air around it. We asked the Thunder Bay District Health Unit for some tips on how to stay warm and to prevent hypothermia and frostbite.
Make sure you dress warm, so that includes maybe hot hats, socks, mitts, scarves, bigger jackets if possible, or layers. So make sure you put, so even stuff like wool, that keeps you warm, definitely. If you get wet, make sure you change immediately. It can usually get pretty cold up here, so when it reaches around -40 with the wind chill, it can take only about 5 minutes before your skin can freeze.
How quickly before permanent damage?
It would vary on the case.
The current cold snap is expected to last at least through this weekend. Adam Riley, TBT News.
Officials with St. Joseph's Care Group say they have met the deadline of December 31st to address the outstanding compliance orders at the new Hogarth Riverview Manor. Back in November, the Ministry of Health ordered St. Joe's to stop admitting new residents at the 416-bed facility. The 7-story residence opened its doors last January, but the ministry found a number of compliance issues surrounding patient care and the training of the 400 staff there. St. Joe's CEO Tracy Buckler says although they've made the necessary changes, they won't be able to begin admitting new residents until a ministry inspection is carried out. And because those inspections happened unannounced, there is no word on when admissions will return to normal. Hogarth typically admits about 15 new residents a month. Buckler adds that the ministry is well aware of the ongoing capacity pressure in Thunder Bay's healthcare system.
A house fire has left a Vickers Heights home with extensive damage. Fire crews were called to the Victor Street residence around 6:30 Wednesday evening and arrived to find flames shooting from the back of the single-story structure. The fire was so severe that 5 pumpers, an aerial ladder, and 25 firefighters were needed to bring it under control. While the most extensive damage came at the rear of the structure, there's heavy smoke and fire damage throughout. There was no one home at the time of the outbreak, and the cause remains under investigation.
A city driver was lucky to escape injury when he was involved in a collision on the Thunder Bay Expressway this morning. According to the OPP, the man was crossing the expressway with the light southbound on Red River Road when he was struck by a westbound tractor-trailer unit. While the man was unhurt, his van was badly damaged. Damage to the tractor trailer is said to be minimal. The transport driver has been charged with failing to stop for a red light.
Thunder Bay Police confirmed they're investigating an incident of online bullying involving a local youth. Police are offering up few details about the case. The young victim complained to Instagram administrators about language being used on the social media platform and was allegedly subjected to harassment and even threats against his life. Police spokesperson Julie Tilbury called it an active investigation, adding there's not much she could say until it's all been wrapped up. She adds it's a growing problem with inappropriate use of social media due to anonymity and fake accounts. Potential upgrades of the Thunder Bay Conservatory will take a step forward tomorrow as a consulting firm will be chosen to look into the conservatory's future. The building has undergone limited renovations since it was built in 1967 for Canada's centennial anniversary. And in recent years, its age has been starting to show, with a brief closure in 2013 after glass panels fell from the ceiling. Besides the need for structural updates, Northwood councillor Shelby Chung says the consultants will also be looking at the usefulness.
The study is going to be looking at is the replacement of the greenhouses and what kinds of plants we want to grow in there. So one of the options is a low impact development plants. So plants that are native to Thunder Bay and to the surrounding areas, used to help absorb rainwater and to filter the rainwater.
Public opinion and practicality will also come into play when the consultants give their recommendations to city staff on the improvement plans.
It's a dispute that started here in Thunder Bay, but there now appears to have been a peaceful resolution to the battle between retail giant Walmart and credit card company Visa. Back in July, Walmart stopped accepting Visa payments at its 3 stores here in Thunder Bay, a policy that soon spread to outlets right across the country. That was prompted by Visa's refusal to give in to Walmart's demand for a lower service fee rate than what's charged to other businesses. But late today, Visa announced in a statement that Walmart would once again start honoring Visa cards effective Friday, January 6th. There is no word yet on what led to the resolution of the impasse. Well, cycling in the winter here in Thunder Bay has been gaining popularity with the addition of the fat bike to the scene. More and more events are being held involving the large tired bikes, and they are being scheduled in the area, along with the return of the Fat Bike Loppet in March. To gear up for the return, several Thunder Bay area riders will be making the trip to Lutsen for the first Norpine Fat Bike Classic. One competitor at that race will be Thunder Bay director for the Fat Bike Series, Fred Bauer. It will be his first official fat bike race, and he says local cycling clubs are really wanting to expand into fat bikes.
It's the first year we're really starting to expand into doing fat bikes here. We're going to do a total of 5 races, the bigger ones are the Loppet that you mentioned, and then we're going to have a Fat in Thunder Bay weekend. And so we'll do a race on a Saturday and a race on a Sunday.
The Fat Bike Weekend is also to be held in March after the Loppet, with the hope of increasing the sport's popularity in the city.
The Canada Games Complex is a place to be for kids before they head back to school next week. The facility is hosting a Winter Fun Days camp, and the children that attended there get more than just a fun time out of this. Molly Fromer has more.
The city of Thunder Bay is hosting a Winter Fun Days camp for the kids at the Canada Games Complex. The complex was filled with a variety of fun activities throughout the whole week for the children to enjoy. Some of the staff tell us what experiences the campers get out of this camp week.
So this week we basically divided up the days into 2 different theme days, one in the morning, one in the afternoon, and then all the kids participate in 3 different activities. Afterwards we go into the pool and we swim for a couple hours, and then it's time to go home.
Right now they're doing Pajama Day. This morning they did Art Attack Day, so they did a bunch of art activities this morning. Other activities that have happened so far this week, they did Master Chef Day yesterday, so they made some no-bake recipes. They did some science experiments today before that, some sports. We went outside one day, and then they swim from 2 to 4 in the afternoon. Just good experiences and being able to have some fun, a little less structured time than normal because kids are so structured all the time, so it's nice to have still structure but in kind of a more relaxed kind of a way. So I think it's good for them to have kind of experiences like that.
Around 45 children ages 5 through 12 attended this fun-filled week-long camp, which included activities such as games, crafts, swimming, and many more activities.
It makes me feel pretty happy, and like not lonely because I can make a bunch of friends here. It's probably going to have to be doing just some art activities.
Going in the deep end, going down the slide, and the diving boards. Going down the thunder slide. Going in the deep end and going on the diving boards. Pajama day and art attack.
With the big turnout they had this week, they're hoping to make this an annual event over the holidays before the kids go back to school. Molly Fromer, TBT News.
And if you want your pets to have a fun night, you may want to keep them indoors.